Good morning and welcome to Unfiltered Vision News. Well, good morning and welcome to Unfiltered Vision News, bringing you the news unfiltered Monday through Friday. I do apologize for ugh, my entry does sound a lot better than that, but unfortunately, like I've said before, the Wi-Fi that I have right now, it is absolutely horrible. And if it continues, I'm just going to put the place on blast that we are using and just recommend no one use them. Um, but outside of that, I hope everybody's having a great Monday. You guys, thank you so much for joining me here. And we've got some news to get into. Of course, it was very exciting. Happy birthday to President Donald Trump. He was celebrating his birthday and he decided to, do the whole UFC thing. I was like, wow. I mean, it wasn't for me. I'm not a UFC person. So I was watching, I was like, we really got a whole UFC event going on the lawn of the White House. And we've got we got soldiers saluting the UFC fighters. And I was just like, wow. I mean, it was very historic. I will say that. I was It was different. We will just say that. So with that, let's get into our news on all sides. And hi, Edwin. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining this morning. And so I wanted to get into some of the things going on. So the significance of the FIFA World Cup in a divided US and world. And interesting, especially with sports, it tends to bring people together from all different backgrounds, right? But, I'm not seeing it here, but some news reports, the Knicks, congratulations to the New York Knicks for winning the NBA Finals, but unfortunately, there was a lot of violence going on in the city in celebration. So, you win and you're gonna tear up your city, like, what is going on? And Edwin, thank you for asking how I am. I'm doing well, thank you. And also for Joshua World, thank you for joining us, and I'm doing well, thank you so much for asking. And I was just like, yeah, it is a very interesting place in our world now. So, because like I said, sports, it tends to bring people together, but now it's just violence. I think, maybe a month or 2 ago when they were having, an event in France, I think it was a soccer event, or it's called football with the U, um, overseas, and they were just people in the streets, and it looked like France was burning down. I was like, "This is how you celebrate?" Like, okay, we need to change that. Okay, if you're winning or if you're celebrating, you don't burn things down. And I think this was old because we've already had the event, but Trump UFC event at White House cleared by federal judge. What are you talking about? Anyway, old news. It happened last night. If you saw it, you saw it. If you didn't, interesting. Now, Elon Musk, now this was going into the weekend. He became the world's first trillionaire by launching the SpaceX IPOs. So, for a lot of you out there, for investors, not that this is any investment advice, but wait and see because this also happened with Facebook when they came out. There was a big launch for it, and then I want to say the stock dropped almost by like 50% after like maybe a week or two, and then it rose again. So we'll see how it goes as far as the SpaceX IPOs, but congratulations to Elon Musk. Now, Donald Trump administration cuts LA homelessness funds amid fraud allegations. And there have been a lot of fraud allegations out there, and they are cracking down. And I'm okay with them cutting the money because, in my opinion, Los Angeles has squandered the money with homelessness and it's become worse. So, how are you getting more money and the situation's getting worse? Because here's the deal. If you get rid of the problem, what are you going to do? Well, what you're supposed to do is ensure and make sure that those people do not return, right, to become homeless. So you put programs in place to make sure that they don't become homeless again. Shocker. Shocker, right? But nobody really thinks that far down the line, and we really need to do that. So we are getting better. Not sure why my printer has decided to make noise right now, but that's my printer. Um, and then we've got protests that are erupt in Belfast over stabbing in Sudanese refugee case. That was about a week ago. Yeah, so some of this news is a little bit old, but let's get into some of our more current news. And I do apologize for not doing our honoring God with our body because that's usually where we start and that's what we are going to get to now. So again, and good morning, Spud McKenzie, guys. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. Let me get that set up here really quick. I just jumped right into the news, but let's start off with honoring God with our bodies, shall we? God, please guard our mind and our thoughts. God, help me to fix my thoughts on what is true and honorable and right and pure and lovely and admirable. So I will think about things that are excellent and worthy of praise. God, please protect our ears and help us listen to your voice. God, help me to be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. God, please protect my eyes from sin's damage. God, I make a covenant with my eyes not to look lustfully. God, please speak life over my mouth. God, set a guard over my mouth. Lord, keep watch over the doors of my lips. God, please help my hands to serve generously. God, help me to do good to everyone, and especially to those who belong to our family in the faith. And God, please protect our reproductive organs. Help us to honor you, God, with purity. God, help me to honor you with my body. And God, please protect our feet as we walk along your path. God, let your word be a lamp for our feet and a light on our path. So I just wanted to make sure that we, you know, got to that before anything else. So there we go. There we go. But I did want to get into some of the trending topics also on X that have come through my feed. And so Japanese fans clean up versus Nick's title chaos in viral video. Like I was mentioning, yeah, New York, y'all need to do better. It's crazy. Jillian Michaels, she calls out Obama's Virginia campaign choice. Okay. And then the third one was a video shows a confrontation between a street preacher and a group in a Tampa parking lot. Now, I found this interesting because when did our country become a place where people could create an enclave and demand that other people not be there. See, this is the United States. We have freedoms. We can go wherever we want to. We can be whatever space we want to. And to demand somebody, you need to get out of here. What? Huh? What? What? No. If you want that kind of life, if you want those kind of parameters, you need to move to a country that does that, because that's not here. Now, I can understand when people are being, I guess, protective of people are being violent or whatever to their neighborhoods. That I get. I'm like, obviously nobody wants that kind of situation. But Andrea Schaefer, she says this is happening in Florida. Muslims attack a Christian pastor for citing the Bible. Now, we can do that here in America because it's called freedom of speech. We can kind of do that. I mean, if Muslims want to do that, they can. But what they can't do is block traffic and praying in the streets, which we have found out is a form of dominance. You can't do that. You can't block people. You cannot hinder people. But if you want to preach the word on the side of the street, you can, right? So more of this will happen because Islamic centers and mosques have increased by 60% over the past 15 years in Florida. The Islamicists are not only taking over Texas, but targeting Florida as well. Since I've moved here, more Islamic centers have been approved for construction. Where's DeSantis and the presumed next Republican gubernatorial candidate, Donaldson, on the growing threat in Florida? Now, I do apologize. There is some saucy language in here. So let's take a look.
You're a terrorist. You terrorist.
Come fight, fucker! Come! Come fight! You fucker, come! You gonna fight?
God's gonna burn you in hell, you child of the devil.
Okay, so you know the preacher, he's talking, they're talking, but why are they threatening this man if he's just preaching the word? Why do they feel threatened? This is the United States of America. Stop. If you do not like that people actually have freedoms here, then you need to go back to a country that doesn't have those freedoms. If you don't like Christians, you need to leave here. Right? There are probably more Christians here than Muslims per capita. It is what it is. But if you move to a predominantly Christian country, that would be like me moving to a predominantly Muslim country and demanding people not practice Islam. That's silly. It is. It's just silly. If I make a demand for it. Now, if I share my faith and people want to be converted, that's totally different. Same thing here, right? If you're a Muslim and you come to America, you're like, okay, we're just going to, preach our Muslim faith. And if people want to be converted, they're converted. That's different, right? But you don't just come here and demand that people be that or demand that they not do what they've been doing. Like, don't be weird. Don't be weird. And Spud says sports events are energy absorbers. They are because they absorb energy, but they create so much energy. Now the question is it good or bad? That's definitely the bigger question. Now there was something that I wanted to get into last week that I didn't, and I should have. So I want to get into that really quick. And what that is it was a article, and it was on the 10th. Yeah, you guys can see it pretty good. Let's see. So it's Austin Metcalf, and here's the article. It says it's Austin Metcalf's dad friends with Carmelo Anthony Judge, unpacking the viral rumor. And so there have been a lot of rumors of this back and forth, and people trying to find out, was there a relationship? So we'll get into that in just a second. But here is an article that came out, and this article is really just trying to, show the correlation, if any, right? If any. So Anthony 19 was convicted to 35 years in prison. Some use the photograph to call for a mistrial and conviction to be overturned. Others say it is proof trial was rigged against Anthony. So apparently there is a photo ad here with it was like a picture like of 3 of them. Okay, so this is just they've got individual people. And of course, they're speaking out the misinformation, right? And I get it. We don't want any misinformation. I'm not sure what this video says. Yeah, there should be a mistrial due to a conflict of interest. Metcalf, Judge Roach, and DA Greg Willis all knew each other. And Carmelo was in it. So I'm like, oh, wow, okay. I mean, and another question is self-defense. But again, like I brought up on Friday, what type of precedent are we setting when we can say, okay, if you pursue someone and you shoot them in the back, that's self-defense because that person just got off. But if you defend yourself and the person is unfortunately unalive, that's not self-defense. Now, each one on its face is, like I said, setting a different precedent.
Secret Service Sam here with a Carmelo Anthony Austin Metcalf trial update. Now, earlier in one of my videos, I mentioned that Morris Dwayne Turner had informed me that Jeff Metcalf.
Uh-oh, sorry. Again. Technology. Oh, come on. Seriously? We got the
The DA and Judge Roach all knew each other. We're friendly together.
Okay. Again.
And now we have that proof. Look at this photo. This is a photo.
I am so sorry we're fighting through this, y'all. We're fighting through this to get to this photo. I appreciate y'all staying in the fight with me, and amens, but Mackenzie and Jonathan Oshner 67 says hi. Well, hi and good morning. Goodness, come on. We only got 30 seconds of this left. Can we muscle through this? The worst service ever. It drops out at the dime of the hat. Like I just don't even know. Hopefully we can get through this without much more of a struggle. I don't know why it's struggling so bad. Let me see if I can just do this. I've had worse in real time, you guys. I've had my camera fall. I've had some odd things happen. If anybody's been with me for a while, if you know, you know. Now let's see if this can pop in, possibly. Here we go. Let's see. All right, there we go. A little bit better.
Anthony Austin Metcalf trial update. Now, earlier in one of my videos, I mentioned that Morris Dwayne Turner had informed me that Jeff Metcalf, the DA, and Judge Roach all knew each other. We're friendly together. And now we have that proof. Look at this photo. This is a photo of Jeff Metcalf, John Roach, the judge, and Greg Willis, who is the DA. Conflict of interest, anyone? I don't know. I am still working to verify this picture. I entered it in ChatGPT. It says it doesn't seem to be fake. If anybody out there can confirm this picture for me, I think that is also very important because we need to keep the truth at the head of all of this. Let me know what you got. Secret Service Sam here with.
Yeah. And, you know, with a conflict of interest to that magnitude, that's something that you don't ever want. Right. Now, of course, you know, a judge and a DA, they're going to know each other. But for the father to know the judge, this is why you know, initially I was like, you know, they should have requested a change of venue. But they don't know the relationship between the attorney that the Anthony family had hired. What was that relationship with the DA and the judge, even within the community. A change of venue should have been had because, in my opinion, there was direct prejudice, not in the color of skin, but because of the because it was so well known as a case. In my opinion, it would have been hard to find a jury that was not biased in any way. And, I'm just speaking from a legal perspective. That should have been immediate. It should have been change of venue, and definitely a better plea. So that's what happened there. So I actually ran through Grok, just to find out if there was a relationship between the prosecutor, defense attorney, and Mr. Metcalf. And it said in the context of the high-profile case, Mr. Metcalf refers to Jet Metcalf as Austin's, father. And then the judge, John Roach, and then the prosecutor. So there's alleged relationships on social media, right? And the critics argue they're all friends, which could compromise impartiality, right? And the legal commentary notes the judges must disclose certain relationships, and personal friendships can create an appearance of bias, though a single photo or social connection does not automatically disqualify a judge or require recusal under Texas rules. Interesting. So no formal finding of misconduct or successful recusal had been widely reported. Now, the defense attorney, the main defense counsel for Carmelo Anthony, attorneys like those arguing self-defense or other rules, right? So I asked the defense attorney knew I meant to say it another way. Did the defense attorney know the district attorney? Yes, there is a well-established professional relationship. So Carmelo Anthony's attorney knew the district attorney. Yeah. So Mike Howard, self-defense attorney, another prominent defense attorney, Toby Schock, and lead prosecutors Bill Wersk, who handled much of the courtroom work, and Greg Willis. The direct connection is between Toby and Bill, the defense and the prosecution. They are longtime friends and former law partners who worked together for years prosecuting major cases, including high-profile murder cases. When both were on the prosecution side earlier in their careers, this trial was reportedly the first time they faced each other in court as opponents. Werski has publicly commented on how odd it felt not talking to Schock every morning during the trial, but they remained professional. I wonder who suggested that they got this particular attorney, because I would not want to have my defense attorney have any type of former relationship with the prosecution. Interesting. And I'll make sure I connect this link for you guys. Now, so did the defense attorney recommend himself, or was he recommended? The defense attorney was recommended and retained by the Carmelo Anthony family. He did not recommend or insert himself. So somebody recommended this person to them. He was privately retained and directed by the Anthony family. Multiple news reports and statements note that the family of Carmelo Anthony has officially retained attorney Mike Howard as lead counsel. Yeah, but did they know the relationship that he had with the prosecutor? It's just one of those things. Yes, you want fair and equal representation, but you got to make sure it's fair and equal. So I wanted to get to some more of the headlines. So there's some things with Israel that I wanted to check out before we end the broadcast for today.
Agreed on a framework to end the war, which mediator Pakistan says will be signed Friday in Switzerland. The full text of the agreement is yet to be published, but President Trump says the Strait of Hormuz will be reopened. In return, the US blockade on Iranian ports will likely be lifted. If and when Iran will receive sanctions relief or frozen funds is still unclear.
I'm not going to say that everybody's going to sing Kumbaya tomorrow. It's going to take a little bit of time to learn the ways of peace.
If implemented, the deal returns the region to the status quo before the war. The work to get a full nuclear deal is only beginning. There will now be a 60-day period for more talks. Israel has yet to officially respond, but the framework requires the war on all fronts to stop, which includes its campaign against Hezbollah. The president of the European Commission has warned there can be no peace in the Middle East while Lebanon is in flames.
And that's fair, right? Now let's get to this Fox Live now.
Welcome back here on Live Now from Fox. We are approaching the top of the hour, 9:56 on the East Coast and 6:56 on the West Coast. My name is Josh Breslow, and I do want to get to the latest coming in out of the Middle East, as we know that President Trump says a deal should be signed today with Iran. Now, essentially, this is a deal to talk further about making a deal. Right now, though, I want to pop this up on your screen as we're hearing from Barak Ravid over at Axios. Now, he says the Israeli military notified U.S. Central Command shortly before the strike in Beirut took place this morning. Israeli and U.S. officials are telling him that. Now, we know that the talks are continuing despite those strikes that happened. And Ravid also saying that Iranian chief negotiator signaled that the Israeli strike on Beirut could undermine U.S.-Iran deal. Quote, the Zionist aggression has once again shown that America either does not have the will or the ability to fulfill its obligations. You cannot score points by giving the regime a green light. The game of bad cop and good cop is old. If you do not have the will and ability to fulfill your obligations, it is not possible to talk about continuing on the path. Now, the Israel War Room actually responded to all of this and essentially said that it was garbage. So I do want to bring in Jonathan Schanzer over at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies to talk about all of the latest developments. Jonathan, as always, thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us.
Pleasure to be with you.
And Jonathan, I wanted to start by talking to you about that statement right there from Iran's chief negotiator. Now, of course, there's been a lot of talk about what role Lebanon has in all of this, because that's something that Iran has said the strikes against Hezbollah need to stop in order for any kind of deal to be reached between the U.S. and Iran. What do you make of all of that, especially that statement?
Well, I mean, let's unpack this for a minute. Hezbollah is the Iranian regime's most powerful proxy. When we say proxy, that means that they are in close coordination with their patron. It means that in some cases they are taking direction from their patron, but they are absolutely pursuing the objectives of their patron back in Tehran. Now, the incident today starts with 3 drones that penetrate Israeli skies and actually, carry out attacks against the Israelis. So the Israelis do what pretty much any normal country in the world would do when they are attacked. They respond. They responded today with a precision strike in Dahia, which is the southern suburbs of Beirut. It was apparently a command and control center operated by Hezbollah, known to be in direct contact with the regime in Iran. So now you have the Islamic Republic saying that this is a violation of whatever the deal is that we're at some point going to see, hopefully, with the United States. But it really is remarkable because their proxy starts it, Israel responds, and now they're saying that they want to get out of the deal. In other words, this looks like an excuse. It looks like the regime is trying to get out of its obligation that it has signaled to the White House that it was going to follow through on today. This, of course, comes amidst denials that there was even a deal to be made, or at least that it was not going to be signed today. Now it sounds like there could be some sort of docu-sign where everybody enters into this, I don't know, virtually. The whole thing is quite weird. It certainly does not look like the Islamic Republic is serious about ending this conflict.
And that's the problem, right? Are they serious? I was like, okay, yay. And I was like, okay, Israel, here we go. Every time we are here to the, like, okay, we've gotten to it. something always happens with Israel. Is it me? Or is this just like on repeat? It's very interesting. And Spud McKenzie says a conflict of interest. Yeah, I see that conflict of interest too in that Anthony case. And it's going to be interesting to see if they do appeal, if they decide to appeal with a different attorney. Because they can go with a different attorney. But I think he went with a court-appointed appellate attorney. And I hope he didn't, because it's going to be the same situation. It's going to be somebody that knows everybody else that's in the room, but you are on the outside. So we are praying for the family and making sure that the best things are happening in his interest for Carmelo Anthony. And again, what does self-defense look like now in our country? It's very, very interesting, the precedents that are being set. But that is the recap for this Monday. We will be back tomorrow with Tell It All Tuesday. So thank you guys so much for joining me here on Unfiltered Vision News. And remember, stay well, stay focused, and stay unfiltered. We'll see you in the next one.